You know, it's hard to get good help these days. You know, try to get a early start to the day, and Les is already on his union break, having a bagel and his coffee before he even starts work.
No, it's British tradition, Tush. You have your coffee in the morning. Before you start work, you discuss your plan of attack for the day, or the morning, or whatever it might be.
We don't need to discuss anything. I have the plan of attack in my head, and I'll tell it to you as we go along.
You all run every direction with no
project manager, laborer. All right, we're at Les's shop. It's Sunday morning. We're going to spend a few hours on the car today. Les wants to get the car running, so we'll hear the car run before we start taking it apart. We're going to take some photos to document the starting point of the car. Les will have to get this car appraised at some point. So we want to make sure that we get the worst possible pictures of this car as far as the appraisal is concerned. The initial appraisal, because you have to have the car appraised before it can be registered. So we want to make sure that we get that done, and then it can be reappraised once the restoration is complete. But you don't want to appraise it on a restoration value because you'll be paying a lot of tax up here. So anyway, that's it for now. We'll come back when we start working on the car, or at least trying to get the engine started up. So we'll try to do a little video this morning as we tear apart this car. We're not going to do a lot today, but what we do, we'll make sure we document. First thing we're going to do is just going to take the bonnet off, just to get it out of the way. And I started by removing the, I'm going to remove the bolts from the hood hinge. And just a quick note for all you TR6 owners out there, and I was just saying to Les how important this is. The side bolts that go into the hoods on the TR6 are shorter than the bolts that go underside of the bonnet. So when you're putting them back in, make sure that the short bolts go in the side ones, because otherwise, if you use the longer ones, you'll put a dimple on the outside of your bonnet. So just a quick tech tip on a TR6. Okay, we've got the engine wired up with the external fuel pump. I've just spun the engine without the HT lead on. And we've got good oil pressure. We've checked the oil, obviously. I'm going to put that back on. Okay. You coming or what? Okay, I'm going to pull the choke. Okay. Les, you're going to hook up the blue wire to the negative. Blue wire for the fuel.
Back on?
I put it on already. So that'll prime fuel.
Should I clamp it on?
Just push it in the slot there.
Oh, okay.
Should be a little hole there for it to go in. We got fire extinguishers standing by. Okay, you good? Good. Okay, ready? You want to do the honors or you want me to do it?
No, go right ahead, buddy. What do you think it is? Okay,
now it's got pressure in the line now. I can hear it. See that? Hear how that changed?
Yeah, so it didn't have to walk.
Get in there.
Okay.
Well, crank it out. Crank it. Yeah, choke's out. Just keep cranking. Undo the fuel pump.
That's strange. Like we've lost spark or something, eh, David?
Okay, let's try that.
Could be just a wiggly wire, right?
Okay, let's do this here. Go open, start.
Ready?
Yeah.
Oil pressure's well over
Yeah, keep going, Les.
60. Lost our spark.
Les, keep cranking. Undo the fuel pump. What the hell is this? Where does that look like it's going to?
Down in there, in behind. Goes in there, in behind the firewall.
I don't know if it was part of the...
Add-ons or something.
Try, just try cranking it now, Les.
Well, this is,
No, leave it off, because I think you have enough fuel in the carbs.
do you have to push the clutch in?
No. Okay, stop.
What about if I pull the choke in and out?
The choke's out already.
Don't want to move. Okay.
Try it now. Okay.
What are you thinking?
I'm gonna see if we got spark. Let's pull a plug.
Okay.
So let's undo the battery cable.
There's
Okay.
a green one here not connected.
We're gonna pull plugs and see if we got any spark.
David?
We'll be back. Okay, so we took the air box off and we found that we had a stuck piston or a stuck air valve in the rear carb. So we fixed that. Now we're going to test for spark. I've just pulled a plug out, so Leslie's going to crank it. We're going to look for spark and see if we got that. And if not, we're going to get into the distributor. Okay, let's go for it. We got spark. Crank it more, Les. I just want to see how good a spark it is. Okay, we got spark. Okay, we're back. So, did everything hook back up?
I haven't turned the power on yet.
Don't worry about that. Just go and try to. Did you have enough fuel in the carbs now? I think.
Right?
Yep. It's better.
Keep going or
Yep.
fuel on?
Keep going.
Keep going.
Crank it longer. out of fuel in a minute here. You can hook your pump back up if you want. Just put your wire in. Yeah. Is that going? Can you hear the pump going? No, can you hear it here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it. How smooth it runs. And the body fans on.
Yeah. So yeah, this car actually runs pretty well, as you can tell. It's very quiet. I do have a fuel leak at the bottom of the O-rings. I've got just a towel down there, so we got to be careful. You can actually see old fuel dripping out of it. So we're not going to run it for too long. I'll put it off choke.
Don't need to run.
Okay, unhook the fuel pump, Les, and I'll just run it off the...
Again?
Unhook the fuel pump, just pull the blue wire.
Yeah.
Okay, just let it go. We'll let it run out of gas here. Want to rev her up, Les? Get in there and rev her up. Or here, if you hold the camera, I'll do it from the outside. I don't think you want to sit in those seats.
Yeah. Here, I'll go do it. Or do you push? Show me.
All right.
This throttle.
Right here, Les. Right there.
The linkage.
Yep.
What?
Okay, we're out of fuel.
Dave?
Okay, so we've got temperature gauge not working, but the oil pressure is really good actually.
Yeah, the red light's off, wire's off, remember?
Fuel gauge, yeah, I think the red wire less is for the radio. Looks like it's possibly charging. So Les, you hold the camera back here. Anywhere.
I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh yeah, there you go. Sounds light. Give it a bit of revs if you want. There you go, David.
All right, so we'll just run her out of fuel.
Oh. Oh.
So success. Yeah, that engine runs really well.
Oh.
All right, we'll come back in a bit. Okay, I've decided to evict these critters from the engine bay. So, sayonara. One more less thing to take off the car. Okay, so fresh off the success of the engine start, we're going to concentrate on just taking some of the, we got a couple hours to play today, so we're going to concentrate on taking some of the interior bits out, like the soft top, probably the seats. I don't think we'll get the windscreen frame out yet. That'll probably have to wait for another day, but we'll take a few things out while we can. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a compression test on this engine before we start taking things apart, like the ignition. We'll just do a compression test probably in the next day or two and then not worry about it. I think what the plan is to probably not rebuild this engine. It seems to run pretty well, but we'll do a compression test on it and see what that looks like before we make our final decision. Right, Les?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get to work on the interior. All right, just coming up to 1:45, and we're just wrapping it up for today on the 76 TR6. Got a little progress made. Obviously got the engine started and started stripping the interior pieces out of it. We got the seats out, back panel out, seat belts out, carpets out, and actually the floors, the rear of the floors don't look too bad. He's got this weird garbage bag coating on it. I don't know why the previous owner put that on. The inner sills actually don't even look too bad, but we'll get into that a little bit further along. So we've got soft top removed as well, obviously. That's sitting over here. The frame is pretty crunched up and pretty bent, so we had a hard time getting that off. Obviously the bonnet's off. All the interior carpet at the rear of the car, rear shelf, transmission tunnel covers are off. Seats are off, as I mentioned, seat belts are off. Seat tracks were a bitch to get off because they were rusted solid. So we demoed those a little bit. I've got another set of those, and I think Les has got a set, so we weren't too worried about keeping them. They're available new as well, so no sense in worrying about maintaining them, or if they're going to be a pain to get off, we're just going to get them off. Anyway, that's it for now. We'll come back a little later on. I think the next thing we're going to do is a compression test on the engine, but that will have to wait until a later date. All right, talk to you later. So just coming up to 5:30, and we're back now after taking a break on the TR6. We're back wanting to do that compression test. And the first issue we're running into is getting spark plug number 1 out. As I was telling Les, a lot of times, I know in my TR6 the alternator interferes with the getting a wrench on the number 1 spark plug, so you usually have to move the alternator down and away from the block to be able to get a wrench on there. So the first thing I did, of course, is I crushed my finger between the alternator and the block trying to get it off, so that hurt. But the more importantly is that we look to have a problem getting an actual socket on that spark plug. And if I look in there, and you're not going to be able to see this, but if I look in there, it's possible that this hole was stripped out already, because I think I can see a piece of metal maybe around the outside edges on the top and to the left of the plug. So I wonder if somebody stripped this plug in there and put some sort of insert in there. But anyway, it's making it really difficult to get a socket around the plug. So that's our first major issue on this car, is this number 1 spark plug. Anyway, we'll stay at it. Okay.
Okay.
So we're on number 5 for 5,000. Write it down in the book.
96, Tush.
Okay, there's a quick look at our compression numbers 1 through 6. To me, they seem a little low, although they're pretty consistent. 94 being the lowest, 100 being the highest. We only did a dry test, we didn't do a wet test. Didn't think the wet test was going to make much of a difference. So anyway, those are some numbers for you to ponder. I'll have a look and see what the compression ratio, the compression numbers would normally be on a TR6. But like I said, that seems a little low to me. Alright, we got the Mad Max hookup with the gas can strapped at the front of the bumper here on tightly. Fuel pump secured down. We got the hookups ready for the fuel pump. We're going to see if we can get this thing to drive. We've never actually tried to move it under its own power. So now would be a good time to see if the trans actually shifts. So we're going to stick a milk crate in it and take it for our parking lot run. Let Les in. Lock yourself out.
No, you did, David.
Okay. This might be a bad idea, but Les is going to try to go for a maiden drive with his big work boots on. So it's not a very nice night out. It's kind of raining out, but anyway, okay. Neutral. Now I'm gonna put your fuel pump on. Ready?
Just the clutch in.
Clutch in. But you're in neutral anyway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here goes your fuel pump. Okay, let her go. Got her up. Choke out. Choke out. Choke out. Pull.
Where is it, Dave?
On the outside.
That guy, right?
Yeah, pull. There you go, you're good. Now give her a shot. Okay. Choke in. It's cold, Les. Les is complaining about a miss on this car that hasn't run for God knows how long. Okay, so
2013.
your foot's on the clutch?
Yeah.
Over and down. Down. Okay,
Yeah.
now go ahead. Slowly. Oh, geez, it moves. Do you brake off, Les? Handbrake off?
No, you stupid fucker, that's why it's going.
Okay.
Open in the back.
That's good. It runs under its own power. Oh, Jesus, Les. Jeez. It's running pretty good, actually. I see a smile on Les's face. Okay, bring it in. Straighten her out. Straighten her out.
Get it up.
Yeah. Not very straight though.
I don't care.
Okay, turn her off because I got that gas leaking, right? Les?
She's a beauty, Tush.
How was your first drive?
It was great.
Les told me he got it into third gear, which was not the plan. He wasn't even supposed to go around the building, but apparently he doesn't listen very well.
I went into third, Dave.
So anyway, so it's good. It moves under its own power. Still got that pretty good gas leak over here, so we're just being a little careful about that. The brakes work, but I think they were starting to seize less when you came in, it sounded like.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm surprised any of the hydraulics work actually in it. But so yeah, that was successful, I would say.
Yep.
Hey?
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, so it's a runner.
Yep.
Just got to put a new body on it.
She's the real thing.
All right, let's disconnect the battery and disconnect that fuel can. That'll make me feel a little bit better. So that was the easiest ever windscreen removal in the history of Triumph TR6. Right, Les? I think it took 6 weeks to get the one off my 73 TR6 after fighting with it with penetrating oil and heat and everything for about a period of 6 weeks. We finally got it off the TR6, but with about what, 3 minutes we got it off the 76 TR6. Anyway, all right, we're just going to retrieve the mirror And the visor mounts off of this, and then we're going to scrap the rest of this. Okay, incidentally, for anybody that's interested, the VIN on this car is CF53282U. So, I don't know if some of you have noticed, but this actually has an overdrive stock and an overdrive badge on the rear. So this was a non-factory overdrive car that, well, I know, based on the VIN number.
It's a special order car.
Yeah, special order, right? So based on the VIN number, it's not a factory overdrive car, but the previous owner has put overdrive in it. So that's good. I'm surprised Les didn't know, or didn't try out the overdrive on his ride around the block, but he doesn't know how to use the overdrive yet. I'm sure he would have otherwise.
Yeah, they're going on the 404.
Yeah, out on the highway. All right.
With everybody chasing.
Les has got a job to do tomorrow morning up in Gravenhurst, so he's just loading the car up to drive up to Gravenhurst tomorrow. Hopefully it's going to be a little warmer out in the morning because it'll be a little chilly with the windscreen down and the top down.